What if the world's applause was a pleasant sound, but not one you ever needed to hear to know your own worth? What if the criticism of the crowd was like the barking of distant dogs, audible but irrelevant to your chosen path? This is not arrogance. It is the profound and quiet strength of a man who sources his validation from within. This is the path to unshakable confidence, and it begins by learning to be your own witness. Strong men never seek validation from anyone. Stoicism, compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. Strength rooted in self. Imagine two distinct trees. The first is a decorative potted plant, sitting in a beautiful ornate container. It might look impressive, with lush leaves and vibrant flowers, but its existence is entirely dependent and precarious. It relies on a gardener for its water, its nutrients, and its sunlight. It must be moved to avoid the frost and sheltered from the wind. Its strength is not its own. It is a fragile, contingent state bestowed upon it by external forces. The second is a great, ancient oak tree standing alone in a field. It is not in a decorative pot. It is rooted deep in the earth, its gnarled roots tapping into unseen aquifers, drawing sustenance and stability from its own profound connection to the ground. It endures the harshest winters and the most violent storms. Not because it is coddled or protected, but because its strength is inherent, deep, and self-sufficient. The inner conflict for so many men is that we are socialized from birth to be the potted plant. We are taught to build our lives in the container of public opinion, to derive our nourishment from the water of praise and the sunlight of approval from our peers, our partners, and our society. The painful and debilitating problem with this approach is that it makes our strength, our confidence, and our very sense of self incredibly fragile and dependent. We live in a state of constant low-grade anxiety, always monitoring our gardener, the external world, to ensure we are still receiving the validation we need to survive. We become terrified of criticism, of disapproval, of being ignored, because we perceive these things as a threat to our very existence. When the gardener inevitably gets to water us, when the praise stops, the promotion doesn't come, the relationship ends, we begin to wilt and wither. Because we have no deep roots of our own to draw upon, we feel weak and hollow because our strength was never truly ours. The transformative solution is to make the courageous and life-altering decision to break out of the pot. It is to begin the slow, difficult, but profoundly rewarding work of growing your own roots deep into the rich, nourishing soil of your own character and your own values. It is the journey of becoming the oak. The core idea is a direct and powerful application of the Stoic dichotomy of control. Other people's opinions, their praise, their criticism, their applause, these are all external things, completely outside of our control. They are the unpredictable weather. The Stoic warrior understands that it is an act of madness to build the foundation of your self-worth on something so fickle and uncontrollable. Instead, he builds his house upon the unshakable bedrock of his own character, his integrity, his discipline, his virtues, which are always and entirely within his control. The benefit of this is that you build a strength that is weatherproof. You become your own source of stability, your own source of nourishment. The storms of public opinion can rage around you, but they cannot uproot you. This creates a profound sense of inner peace and a quiet, unshakable confidence that is authentic and deeply powerful. The actionable step to begin growing your roots is to start using an internal scorecard. For 1 week, at the end of each day, consciously ignore the external scorecard. The praise you received, the criticism you endured, the results you achieved. Instead, take out a journal and grade your day based only on your internal scorecard. Ask yourself, did I live in accordance with my chosen virtues today? Did I act with courage when I was afraid? Did I act with honesty when it was difficult? Did I keep the promises I made to myself? Your goal is to slowly transfer your sense of a good day from what the world gave you to how you conducted yourself. By consistently judging yourself by your own internal standards, you will begin to untangle your self-worth from the chaotic and unreliable opinions of others. You will start to feel the deep, quiet power of a man who is anchored in himself, whose roots are growing deeper each day. I urge you to begin this practice tonight. Start measuring yourself by your own scorecard. This is the first and most crucial step toward building a strength that is truly your own. Once we begin to grow these roots, we must then learn to sever the dependencies that keep us in the pot. Our next lesson is on the art of breaking the chains of approval. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to join a community of men who are committed to growing their own strength from the inside out. Lesson 2. Break chains of approval. Imagine a magnificent puppet, exquisitely crafted and beautifully painted, standing on a grand stage. It can dance, it can fight, it can gesture with passion. But its every move is dictated by the invisible strings held by the hands of the puppeteer above. The audience may applaud the puppet's performance, but the puppet itself is not free. It has no will of its own. It is merely an extension of the will of another. Now, imagine that same puppet, in a moment of profound insight, finding a pair of scissors and one by one cutting its own strings. It collapses to the stage floor in a heap, clumsy and uncertain. But for the first time in its existence, it is free. It can now learn to stand and move on its own power. The inner conflict for many of us is that we live our lives as the magnificent puppet, dancing for the applause of an audience, controlled by the invisible strings of our need for approval. The painful and deeply tragic problem with this approval-seeking behavior is that it is a form of voluntary slavery. When you need the approval of others to feel good about yourself, you become a slave to their opinions, their moods, and their whims. You lose your authenticity. You say yes when you mean no. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You suppress your own unique thoughts and ideas to avoid rocking the boat. You become a chameleon, constantly changing your colors to blend in with your surroundings. You are not living your own life. You are performing a role that you hope the audience will applaud. This is a profoundly unfulfilling and exhausting way to live, and it is the very opposite of strength. A man who needs the applause of others to validate his existence is not a strong man. He is a needy one. The transformative solution is to decide to become the man who bravely cuts his own strings. It is the conscious, deliberate, and sometimes terrifying act of breaking the addiction to external approval and learning to stand on your own 2 feet, guided by your own inner authority. The core Stoic idea is that true freedom is an internal state. The Stoics taught that the only real slavery is being enslaved to one's own irrational passions, and the desire for approval is one of the most powerful and insidious of these passions. A man who needs praise to feel good about himself is no different from a man who needs a drug to feel good about himself. He is an addict, and his peace of mind is always in the hands of his dealer, the audience. To be free is to be indifferent to both praise and blame, to find your sense of worth not in the applause, but in the quality of your own performance, judged by you and you alone. The benefit of cutting these strings is nothing short of a personal revolution. You reclaim your authenticity. You begin to act and speak from a place of genuine conviction, not from a place of fear or neediness. This creates a powerful, congruent presence that naturally commands respect far more than any people-pleasing performance ever could. The actionable step to begin cutting these chains is to go on a deliberate approval fast. For 1 full day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, make it your primary mission not to do or say anything with the main intention of gaining someone else's approval. You will still be kind, you will still be responsible, but your motivation must be internal. Act solely based on your own judgment of what is right, what is true, and what is necessary. Don't fish for compliments. Don't tell stories in a way that begs for a certain reaction. Don't check for likes on social media. For 1 day, your only audience is your own conscience. This practice will be uncomfortable. It will shine a bright light on just how deeply ingrained your approval-seeking habits are. But it will also show you, through direct experience, that you can survive without the applause. It will show you that there is a quiet, solid strength in acting from your own center. I challenge you to try a 24-hour approval fast this week. See it as a radical act of self-liberation, As you break these chains, you will notice a new sense of calm developing within you. How do we cultivate this calm heart and steady mind? That is the subject of our next lesson. If this idea of cutting the strings of approval resonates with you, please like this video. Lesson 3. Calm heart, steady mind. Imagine your inner emotional state is a deep, clear well. When your mind is calm and your heart is steady, the water in the well is still and pure. You can draw from it for refreshment and clarity. Now imagine that every time someone from the outside world throws a stone of criticism into your well, the water becomes turbulent and muddy. And every time someone throws a flower of praise into it, the water becomes agitated with ripples of excitement. The inner conflict is that our well is constantly being disturbed by the stones and flowers thrown by others. We have no control over what they throw, so we feel we have no control over the state of our own water. The painful problem is that when we live this way, our emotional life is a chaotic roller coaster controlled entirely by external forces. A single word of praise can send us soaring with elation, and a single word of criticism can send us crashing into a pit of despair and anxiety. This emotional volatility is exhausting. It makes it impossible to maintain focus, to make rational decisions, and to be a stable presence for ourselves or for the people who depend on us. We are so busy reacting to the things being thrown into our well that we never experience the profound peace of its natural, undisturbed stillness. A man whose heart is not calm and whose mind is not steady cannot be said to possess his own soul. The transformative solution is to learn to become the guardian of your own well, to develop the skill of allowing the stones and flowers to land without disturbing the deep, quiet water within. This is the art of cultivating a calm heart and a steady mind. The core Stoic idea is the practice of developing a state of equanimity, or apatheia. This does not mean apathy or becoming a cold, unfeeling person. It means achieving a state of tranquility where you are free from the grip of disturbing passions and irrational emotional reactions. The Stoic trains himself to observe external events, like praise and criticism, as neutral information, like watching leaves fall into the well. He notes their arrival but does not allow them to churn the depths of his being. His self-worth is not located in the water, so it cannot be disturbed by what is thrown into it. The benefit of this is that you achieve a state of profound emotional stability. You are no longer on the roller coaster. You can receive feedback without defensiveness and praise without arrogance. You become a calm, non-reactive presence, which makes you incredibly effective in all areas of life, from your relationships to your career. The actionable step to cultivate this is to practice the neutral observation technique. The next time you receive a piece of strong external validation, either positive or negative, your job is to mentally intercept it before it hits the water. Take a mental step back and observe the words as pure data. Say to yourself, for example, "I have just received the data point that my boss is pleased with my work. This is noted." Or, "I have just received the data point that this person disagrees with my opinion. This is noted." Strip the emotional charge from the event. See it as simple information, not as a verdict on your fundamental worth. By practicing this, you are creating a buffer between the external event and your internal state. You are refusing to let the thrown stone create a massive splash. Over time, you will find that fewer and fewer things have the power to disturb your inner peace. I urge you to try this technique with the next piece of praise or criticism you receive. Be the scientist observing the data, not the water being disturbed by the stone. A calm heart allows us to act with reason. But where do we find the motivation to act, if not from the praise of others? Our next lesson is on developing pride beyond other voices. To join our community of practitioners, please comment below and share your thoughts on this idea of a calm heart. Lesson 4. Pride beyond other voices. Imagine a master craftsman alone in his workshop, late at night. He is putting the finishing touches on a beautiful, intricate piece of furniture. No one is there to watch him. There will be no applause when he is finished. He is not doing it for a client or for an award. He is doing it for the love of the craft itself. As he polishes the wood, he feels a deep, quiet, and profound sense of pride, not in the potential praise the piece might receive, but in the excellence of the work itself. The perfect joinery that no one will ever see. The smooth finish on the underside of the table, the integrity of his own effort. This pride is internal, self-contained, and completely satisfying. The inner conflict for many of us is that we have been taught to feel pride only when our accomplishments are witnessed, acknowledged, and validated by other people. We have, in effect, outsourced our own sense of pride. The painful problem with this is that it makes our sense of accomplishment feel hollow and fleeting. We finish a difficult project, and instead of feeling an intrinsic satisfaction, we immediately feel an anxious need for someone to notice and praise it. If the praise doesn't come, we feel as though our effort was wasted. This makes us dependent on an ever-shifting audience for our sense of achievement. It also tempts us to cut corners on the parts of our work that no one will see, because we have learned that the only thing that matters is the external appearance and the final applause. We lose the deep, quiet satisfaction of a job done well for its own sake. The transformative solution is to become the master craftsman, to learn to source your pride not from the loud voices of the crowd, but from the quiet whisper of your own conscience, judging the quality and integrity of your own work. The core Stoic idea is the principle that virtue is the sole good. This means that the reward for a virtuous action is the action itself. The reward for doing a job with excellence is the satisfaction of having done it with excellence. The reward for acting with courage is the knowledge that you were courageous. The Stoic does not look outside of himself for a prize, because the prize is the quality of his own character in the moment of action. The benefit of this is that it allows you to pursue your work in your life with a deep and abiding sense of meaning, regardless of the results or the recognition you receive. You become internally motivated. This frees you from the neediness of the performer and gives you the quiet, powerful confidence of the true craftsman. The actionable step to cultivate this internal pride is to start keeping a private victory log. At the end of each day, in your journal, write down one thing you did that you are proud of, that no one else saw or needed to see for it to be meaningful to you. It could be resisting a temptation you usually give in to. It could be keeping a small promise you made only to yourself. It could be showing kindness or generosity anonymously. It could be putting in an extra hour of focused effort on a project simply because you wanted it to be better. This practice retrains your brain to look for satisfaction internally. It teaches you that your own witness is the only one that truly matters. You will begin to build a rock-solid sense of self-esteem that is based on the concrete evidence of your own character in action. I challenge you to find one private victory each day for a week. Learn to be proud of the work, not the applause. This inner pride gives us conviction. But how do we maintain that conviction when we are faced with the doubts of others and the doubt within ourselves? Our next lesson is on standing tall through doubt. If you are committed to finding your pride within, please share this video with a friend. Lesson 5. Stand tall through doubt. Imagine a seasoned ship's captain navigating through a thick, disorienting fog. He cannot see the stars or the coastline. Many of the crew members, succumbing to fear and uncertainty, begin to doubt the course. They murmur amongst themselves, they question his leadership, and they demand that he turn back to the last known safe harbor. This wave of external doubt is powerful. At the same time, the captain feels his own internal doubts creeping in. What if my calculations are wrong? What if we are truly lost? The inner conflict is the captain's struggle to hold his course against this powerful dual assault of internal and external doubt. A weak captain would yield to the pressure, turn the ship around, and abandon the voyage. The painful problem is that when our conviction is not rooted in something solid and internal, we are easily swayed by the doubts of others and by our own anxieties. If we rely on other people's belief in us to sustain our own, we will inevitably falter the moment they express doubt. If we have no rational basis for our own choices, our own first wave of fear will be enough to knock us off our path. This leads us to abandon our most important projects, our boldest ideas, and our most authentic life paths. Not because they were wrong, but because we lacked the conviction to see them through the fog. The transformative solution is to become the wise captain, who anchors his conviction not in the fleeting confidence of his crew or the absence of fog, but in the solid, rational principles of navigation, his compass, his charts, and his own experienced judgment. He listens to the concerns of his crew, but he makes his final decision based on his own well-reasoned principles. The core Stoic idea here is the importance of trusting your own ruling faculty, your hegemonicon. After you have done the hard work of examining a path with reason, aligning it with your values, and choosing it deliberately, you must then have the courage to trust your own judgment. The Stoics were rationalists. They believed in following the course that reason dictated, even if it was difficult or unpopular. The benefit of this is that you develop a powerful sense of self-reliance. You are not easily thrown off your course by the anxieties of others or by your own temporary feelings of fear. You become a leader who can hold a steady course in the fog, providing an anchor of certainty for those around you who are lost in doubt. The actionable step to cultivate this conviction is to create a statement of conviction for any major path or project you undertake. Before you begin, or when you feel doubt creeping in, take out a journal and write a clear, rational statement explaining why you have chosen this course. Do not use emotional language. Use reason. For example, I have chosen to start this business because my research indicates there is a market need. My skills align with its demands, and its purpose is in accordance with my value of providing service to my community. I accept the risks involved and am committed to the process. When internal or external doubt arises, your practice is to reread this statement. This statement is your navigational chart. It reconnects you with the why behind your decision, the rational foundation you laid when your mind was calm and clear. It is your defense against the emotional fog of doubt. I urge you to write a statement of conviction for one important area of your life this week. Trust your own navigation. As we stand tall in our conviction, we must remember that our value is not in the conviction itself, but in our character. How do we cultivate a self-worth that needs no external witness? That is the subject of our next lesson. Please subscribe to Stoic Power to continue this journey of building unshakable conviction. Lesson 6. Self-worth needs no witness. Imagine a flawless, perfectly cut diamond, hidden deep within the earth in the darkest cave. It is under immense pressure, and it is in complete darkness. No one can see it. No one can admire its brilliance or praise its perfection. Yet does the absence of a witness make the diamond any less hard, any less brilliant, any less valuable? Of course not. Its value is inherent to its nature, its structure, its very being. It is a diamond in the darkness, just as it is a diamond in the brightest sunlight. The inner conflict for us is that we are taught to believe our own value is more like the light of a candle than the nature of a diamond. We believe it only truly exists when it is seen and reflected in the eyes of others. The painful problem with this belief is that it leads to a life of constant performance rather than genuine being. We feel that our good qualities, our kind acts, or our disciplined efforts only count if they are witnessed, acknowledged, and validated by an external audience. This forces us into a state of impression management, where our primary focus is not on being a good person, but on seeming like a good person. This is an exhausting and inauthentic way to live. It also makes our self-worth entirely dependent on having an audience. In our moments alone, we can feel a sense of emptiness or worthlessness, because the witness whose applause we depend on has gone home. The transformative solution is the profound and liberating realization that your character and your self-worth are intrinsic properties, like the hardness of the diamond. They are defined by your actions and choices, and they are completely independent of any external observer. The core Stoic idea is best captured in the phrase, "to be, not to seem." The great ambition of the Stoic practitioner is not to gain a reputation for being wise, courageous, or just. The ambition is to be wise, courageous, and just. The Stoic sage acts virtuously even if no one is watching, even if he is falsely accused of being vicious, because the goal is the perfection of his own character, not the perfection of his public reputation. The benefit of internalizing this is the ultimate freedom. You are liberated from the immense, exhausting pressure of managing your reputation and performing for others. You can focus all of your energy purely on the quality of your actions, on being the best person you can be in each moment, regardless of who is or isn't watching. This creates a powerful, integrated, and deeply authentic sense of self. The actionable step to experience this freedom is to practice an unseen virtue. Once this week, intentionally do one good, helpful, or disciplined thing with the absolute commitment that no one will ever find out that you did it. Put a shopping cart back that isn't yours. Pick up a piece of trash. Make a small, anonymous donation. Forgo a chance to take credit for something at work. The act should be small, but your commitment to its anonymity must be total. The act itself is its own and only reward. This practice is a powerful meditation on intrinsic value. It proves to you, through direct experience, that an action can be deeply satisfying and meaningful even without a witness. It shows you that your character is real, even when no one is watching. I challenge you to practice one unseen virtue this week. Be the diamond in the dark. This internal sense of worth is the ultimate source of power. How do we synthesize all these lessons so that this power flows consistently from within? Our final lesson will tie it all together. If you believe in the power of unseen virtue, please like this video. Lesson 7. Power flows from within. Imagine our solar system. At its center is the sun, a self-sustaining star. It generates immense, almost unimaginable power, light, heat, and gravity, from the nuclear fusion happening at its own core. Its power is intrinsic. It radiates outward, and all the planets, which are large but inert, depend on it for their warmth and light. The planets are powerful in their own right, but their power is derived. The sun's power is original. The final inner conflict on our journey to strength is where we seek our power. Do we seek to be a large, impressive planet, deriving our sense of power from external things? Or do we seek to be the star, generating our power from within? The painful problem is that society teaches us to seek planetary power. We chase external sources of power, job titles, wealth, status, control over others. But this kind of power is fragile and stressful to maintain. It is dependent on keeping our orbit, on things going our way, on other people complying with our will. It is a constant, anxious struggle for control that ultimately leaves us feeling hollow, because the power is not truly our own. It is a borrowed power, just like the reflected light of the moon. The transformative solution is the final, grand synthesis of all the previous lessons we have explored. It is the discovery and cultivation of the star within you. It is the realization that true, unshakable, and authentic power is the internal power of self-mastery, self-reliance, and profound self-respect. The core idea is that the ultimate power a human being can possess is to be indifferent to what he cannot control and to be the absolute master of what he can. The man who needs nothing from others in terms of validation, approval, or praise is the man who is truly free and truly powerful. He is not a planet needing the light of others to feel bright. He is a star generating his own. This power is not aggressive or dominating. It is a quiet, steady, radiant confidence that comes from a deep inner alignment. It is the culmination of rooting your strength in yourself, breaking the chains of approval, calming your own heart, finding pride in your work, standing tall through doubt, and knowing your worth needs no witness. The benefit of this is that you become a genuine force of nature. Your presence has weight and substance. Your peace and confidence are not dependent on the chaotic ups and downs of the world. You move through life with a sense of purpose and power that flows effortlessly from your very being. The actionable step is the declaration of sovereignty. This is a final, culminating journaling exercise where you synthesize your journey. At the end of a week of practicing these lessons, sit down and write a personal declaration. Summarize your commitment to finding your strength, your validation, your pride, and your power from within your own character and your own choices. It might begin, I, your name, hereby declare that my self-worth is inherent and not negotiable. I will source my strength from my own character, my pride from my own virtuous efforts, and my peace from my own disciplined mind. I will be the star, not the planet. This declaration is a powerful ritual of self-creation. It is you, consciously choosing to be the source of your own power. I urge you to write this declaration. Read it. Own it. This is the path of the Stoic warrior, the path of the truly strong man who seeks no validation because he is his own. We have journeyed through the 7 great lessons of self-reliance, from the deep roots of the oak tree to the radiant self-sustaining power of the star. The Stoic path teaches us that the endless, exhausting search for external validation is a trap, and that true, unshakable strength and confidence are found only when we have the courage to look for them and build them within ourselves. Thank you for taking this time to explore this path to inner freedom and power. If this video has served you, please like, comment with your greatest takeaway, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on building a life of profound self-mastery.